Alright, before I start this particular one off, I just wanted to say, so I saw something that I thought looked pretty interesting on Facebook at one point, because I'm kind of like things like this, and look at that. That looks pretty awesome to me. And I've always been kind of fascinated by Nixie clocks. I mean, ever since I saw something that, it was Tecmo did a thing on Nixie clocks, and this kind of pseudo LED thing looked right up my alley. So I decided to go through Facebook, who was advertising for a particular store at the time, to get this. And let's see, yes, so it was. So I placed the order December 17th, a little bit before Christmas. I waited about a month and a half to find nothing had come, and I thought that was probably going to be normal because, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And I went to the store recently, so visit our store here. I don't know what to do about that. Probably not a damn thing I can do about that. Kinda upset and feel like I've been rooked. Now, I'm also a little bit concerned about this other one that I also saw on Facebook advertising. This wasn't Marketplace either, by the way. This was one of their little advertising sections of people have paid for space on our page. So this is something else that I bought here, and it has, as you can see, a suspiciously similar letter type. And if I go to visit store on that one, or rather not to visit store, over to track your package, because that's where I am now, they have a suspiciously similarly faced kind of letterhead, and if I ordered this I ordered that one in January, I'm not really confident that these things are going to show up either. So, that's what I am. That's the emotion I'm feeling about that. Anyway, on to the subject of today's video. I'm the Soundtracker, and I want to talk to you guys today about a video game controller that I found. Now, I love video games. They have been a part of my life for about as long as I can remember, and it's actually the first thing that I can ever remember bonding with my sister and my cousins over. Because, I mean, the new big TV had all the new big consoles attached to it, and there were typically 5 or 6 of us in the room at any given time, and, well, only 4 controllers will attach to a Nintendo 64, so players usually rotated based on who lost the match in Super Smash Bros. Now, while the loser was waiting, though, there was another smaller old TV still set up in the corner, and that had their old consoles attached to it. And that was actually my introduction to the NES. And I used to go over to that corner a lot because, I mean, I could get in a round of Duck Hunt while I was waiting for my turn. Years later, I still enjoy all of the systems that I liked as a kid. They're all set up and ready to go whenever I want to play a game, and for modern stuff, well, that's what my PC is for. The system that I want to talk about today, though, is the Nintendo Entertainment System, because I've just gotten a controller for it, and, well, for something else as well. I love playing my consoles at home, and I would not trade them for anything. I'm sort of a purist that way. But, that being said, I wanted to have some NES gaming on the go. So, I downloaded an emulator. Or, more specifically, my best friend finally convinced me to take the plunge. Now, I prefer using cartridges and discs and the original hardware, but that's not really all that portable. So, the emulator I'm using is called the Nostalgia NES Pro, and it works really well. Now, I got the program from the Google Play Store, though this comes as program only, so you're going to have to source some ROM files for it. Mine in particular come from a website here called the NES Files, and this is actually pretty simple. You just come over, select a game. Let me see here. Yeah, they have a lot of stuff available here. Let's see, what don't I have yet? You know what? I don't have that one yet. What the heck, add? No. It's pretty cool. It gives you some information about the game here, and where's the download? Here we go. And once that's downloaded, back over to the emulator. Once the ROM's been downloaded, it doesn't actually appear in the emulator yet. You have to search for it, which, search device for ROMs. And there it is. And there you have it. It's ready to play in your library. It's a functional and versatile emulator. On-screen control is pretty good, and you can set up a whole bunch of different settings as far as that goes. Game settings? General preferences? Yeah, you can set up a whole bunch of different things to be about as adaptive as you really want it to be, up to and including the controller layout. You can set where you want all the buttons to be. And that's pretty goddamn handy, I'd say. Shader orientation, force full screen. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can really go through. But I really just want to lightly touch on that at the moment, because that's not really the whole point of this. The point is that even with on-screen control being as good as it is, over and over again, this will happen. I mean, honestly, I'm doing what I normally do. I press in the general vicinity of the button on a controller, and I think I'm hitting it, but apparently not. Over and over and over again that happens. I mean, I'll think my fingers are in the right vicinity to actually make an action happen, like jumping or like whipping, or being in the right direction to take something on, but I guess I'm just not. I'll teach my superior technology to tell me that I'm bad at a video game. I'm player one! I am not that bad at those games, and the thing with NES games is that some of them require a lot of really, really precise maneuvering. And this is really the kind of thing that can't be emulated with a touchscreen. On a touchscreen, you have no idea where your hands are, so you have no tactile feedback as to whether or not you're actually doing the correct thing. It sucks, and it needs a controller. I went all over the place looking for anything that would work, and with the release of the NES Mini, everything is really trying to be compatible with that. Now, I'm not using an NES Mini though, I'm using an Android device. My phone is an Android, and I've found that even if you search for an Android-compatible controller, nothing simple, functional, basically nothing NES-shaped shows up. So essentially, I stumbled around until I found this one made by Hyperkin. It's the Cadet Premium Wireless Bluetooth controller, and hopefully it'll work because I haven't actually tried it out yet. I'm hopeful that it will, though. Hyperkin are the company who have been making things like the reissued NES, the Retron 3, other controllers, peripherals, and the one that got a lot of buzz a while back, the Retron 5. If they put that much attention to detail into their console clones, I'm really looking forward to seeing what this can do, so let's move on. Alright, so here's our box. It's colored like victory, and that is exactly what I need right now to win some games. Alright, let's take a look at the back here. Okay, so it's wireless up to 30 feet, you get 6 hours of playtime on a charge, and of course there's blurbs of the exact thing that everyone tries to convince you of when they want to sell you something. It's quality. Let's see, other than that, compatible with all NES models as well as PC, Mac, and Android via Bluetooth. That was the thing that I had trouble finding. A lot of controllers that are made for Android are not, NES style. They're, PS2s or Xbox style. Anyways, I'm looking forward to seeing what this thing can do, so let's get it open and find out. Aha! No. I want victory, not faceplants. Alright, so in the package we get the manual, we get the USB lead, we get the controller itself, and of course the dingly dongle with the 7-pin port. Very nice. Alright, let me grab my NES controller for this, because it has... let's see here. It has a great feel to it, actually. I mean, I've always really liked how the NES controller itself felt in my hands, and this has some good improvements on it, actually. because down here the rounded edges there really keep it from digging into your skin, you know. And there's a rounded back here, and this makes for a more comfortable grip all around. This feels nice to hold. Now, I do like the feel of the NES buttons just a little bit more, but I mean, this is likely really just because I'm so used to them, because these buttons have a great tactile sensation to them. You can feel them press, but it has enough give to be pleasant to press. And that's really important to me. I hate running into controllers that are way too soft, you know? I will also say charging things is also important, in case that it didn't come charged from the factory. Now, it does not come with one of these, but that's fine. I got plenty of these things around. Lovely USB chargers. While it's charging, there's a little red light on the top here. Wow, it's darn near invisible. Little red light on top here that shows that it's connected and charging. And when it's finished, interestingly enough, the light turns off. So, I also just noticed something actually. So I was going over the manual, just to say I read the manual, and it's kind of interesting that this. I wouldn't expect this to need power from a USB side of things, would it? Because I mean, if the controller from an NES can get power from the controller itself, I would assume this gets power from the controller socket as well. Because I mean, we've got both of the sync buttons here for the connectivity side of things, but why the heck does it have two micro B sockets? I mean, maybe it's to connect the two controllers physically, but really? The manual doesn't mention it either. I mean, you got controller, dongle, and charging cable. You've got dongle, and it shows you what everything is here, including the micro charge port on the controller, but it says nothing about the extra micro B port here. What does it do? If I get too stuck on this, I'm never going to get anywhere. You know what? Let's head over. Let's start using it. Oh. All right, here we go. Player 1. Oh, I'm not liking that. Oh, I'm definitely not liking that. See, this port is supposed to fit flush with controllers, and I know that because here it is from my NES controller. That fits nicely. I mean, there's still a little bit of wiggle room, but this definitely has a more secure feeling fit, and maybe I don't think it's the port. Is it? No, it wouldn't be. Hang on. Yeah, this definitely feels a little bit loose. So you've already got one strike from me. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm considering pushing this harder. I mean, what the hell? Why go through all this trouble to design such a good controller only to have the port feel screwy? Alright, well, either way, let's find out if it turns on at least. Alright, well, the NES is on and the light's doing some crap, so... Let's see here. Sync. Okay, so it flashes a little more when it starts syncing. Anything yet? Ah! Okay, so 2 solid lights ought to mean it's synced. Let's find out. I don't actually have my TV on yet, so I've been doing all this entirely through sound. Alright. So anyway, presuming nothing moves that let's go try it out. Okay, so right now the dongle is attached to the NES, the Bluetooth is synced up, and I'm going to be trying this out first off with one of my favorite games, Tetris. And we're going to be trying a whole slew of these things out just to make sure that this is, you know, reacting properly with NES first, and then I'm going to head over to the emulator. So, let's try it out. And go. Alright, okay, I keep forgetting. That's blinding. Wow! Music Theme 3 was always my favorite. Alright. So, first off on the menu, let's see how this does. You know what? What's nice is I'm actually not feeling any sense of input lag whatsoever. So that's great so far. I'm really happy about that. The only really true way to test that, though, would be in-game, so let's start this out. No, it feels good so far. Alright. Well, as far as Tetris goes, this felt really comfortable to play, and I'd like to try some other games out on this. So, let's get to them. I should point out, the minute you shut off your Nintendo, to save battery life, the controller shuts off as well. So, does it resync, and how quickly? Let's find out. Okay, so just pressing one of the buttons, I guess, will turn on the sync process. Okay, perfect. So it does in fact resync itself to whatever it was last hooked onto, which is awesome. Alright, so let's see how this handles Metroid. Alright. Well, I can easily say that I'm not feeling any sensations whatsoever of lag, and it's very, very quick to get used to the harder press that you have to do on this particular style of controller, because the buttons are a little bit more firm, but it's not something that's insurmountable. I mean, you can pretty much get used to it about as quickly as you could getting used to a new controller. And this feels awesome. I'm super happy about it, and it's going to take a little while to collect items, so I'm going to just, go to a different game. But at least just from the basic movements that I'm doing on this, I can tell from the years of having played Metroid with the other controller, this feels great so far, and I'm super, super happy about that. I believe in the scientific method, though, so we're going to be trying, at the very least, 3, maybe up to 5. Okay. And what I can tell you from the movement on that is that any gentle press of the D-pad will send you in that direction. So you're gonna have to be very, very, very ginger with it. Wow, okay? Which I wasn't getting because the games that I had before, you just kind of have to press in one direction or the other. This one, you kind of like rock your fingers around because you want to go to a certain way. And because of how tightly together, I guess, the insides of this are, it's gonna send you rocketing in a direction, so I guess I'm gonna have to be aware of that. Do I even have the sword yet? Jeez. I don't think I do. Huh. Oh, God, no, not up. And now it's not even going sideways. What the hell? Oh my God. Okay, so sometimes even if you want to go sideways, you go up. Not cool. Yep. And in a game like Zelda, where dodging is kind of incredibly necessary, not cool that I can't turn sideways when I really, really need to. So I guess I'm gonna have to relearn how to use this controller. Wow. Come here. Thank you. It's just what I wanted. Alright. I don't think it'll be too difficult to just like kind of gently relearn how to do all the maneuvers that are necessary, because I mean it's, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it'll be that hard, I guess. It's slightly irritating because I'm so used to the other controller that any like light sense of relearning muscle memory is gonna set me off a little bit. Come here. Got it. Ah. Yep. On that one, it's a little odd because pressing to the side will still sometimes trigger it to go up. And I don't remember that ever happening at all with the other controller, so I'm not really sure what in the mechanism here is responsible for that, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be too big of an issue as long as I just, you know, keep my fingers at a little bit of a wider spread than I normally would. It's a challenge I wasn't expecting to have to face on a controller that's so similar to the other one, but I'm hopeful it's not going to be something that's, you know, too much to take on and not have to use this ever. Because it doesn't feel like that. I mean, overall, I'm still pretty satisfied with this. I just wasn't expecting that to happen. It's not Nintendo without Mario, so... Alright, starting selects feel pretty natural too, so... Wow. What the hell? Alright. Emma. Alright, let's see here. Alright, so where I wasn't feeling lag in Tetris, I am feeling it a little bit here. It's not down to my display, though, and I can explain that one later. But, it's down to, I guess, I don't know if the controller is actually responding appropriately in time, because I'll press one direction and it's like a split second that it takes to realize that I've done so. So I'm gonna have to, I guess, comes kind of back down to having to press all the buttons really hard. Yeah.
I mean, because they're so resistive, you kind of have to press down much harder than you normally would, and that's, I think, where the issue lies. Because there's not really a lot of room for subtlety on this controller. Alright, come on. Oh, thank you. God! Yeah. Alright, full momentum. Alright, so essentially it's kind of the same sensation I was getting when I was playing Zelda. I don't actually want to call it lag, though, because it feels like you're going to have to press harder than you normally would on a regular NES controller, and that's just down to the kind of response that the buttons give you. So, still not bad overall, just could be a little bit better to be perfect. And one that I actually didn't have when I was a kid that I'm still kind of new to. This is freaking awesome. I like Bubble Bobble a lot, so let's get into this one. And oddly enough, with this one, I'm having no issue whatsoever. I'm the king! Oh, somebody got angry quickly. Jeez. Anyway, oddly enough, with Bubble Bobble, I'm not feeling any issues, just like when I was playing Tetris. So I guess it kind of depends on the game you were playing, but that's why I chose to do the NES first as a test, because I know the NES like the back of my hand, I know the NES like the front of my hand, and I can pretty much play all those games with no issue whatsoever. And where this is concerned, it's going to take a little bit of relearning in some cases, because, I mean, some of them require a little bit more sensitivity to the touch, and because of the way the buttons react, because they're a little bit more stiff, it requires a little bit more of a press. And that's why I was having those kinds of issues in Zelda and with Metroid as well. So let's see now how this handles as an emulator, because I have a good base for what to expect as far as playability goes. So first things first, let's see if the controller syncs up. Ah! That took a couple of tries. Couldn't connect. Why? How about now? Are you kidding me? Oh, forget. Yeah. Did it work this time? Okay, apparently it has a little bit of trouble connecting, I guess, when it hasn't seen the name of the device yet. So, yeah, I guess when you're first scanning, wait for the name to change from that lovely little string of characters, letters, and numbers you saw over to Hyperkin Pad, because that took, for one thing, way longer than I expected, and two, I almost thought this wasn't going to work. Let me see, how do I get an external controller to attach onto this? Select input method, let's try that. Alright, and time to do some Googling. Okay. Alright, I'm not entirely sure how I got that one to work, but apparently it's working now. Insofar as I can use it as an on-screen keyboard, which is kind of interesting. But in any case, so I didn't have to go into any of the settings on the emulator or anything like that. All I had to do was just start using the controller itself, and apparently it attached. So nothing special in there. So let's try Tetris again here. And for some reason, it seems to think. That's interesting. I'm not really sure why, but it seems to think that A is the back out of something button, and B is the selector button. That is interesting and backwards. Oh, perfect. So it is working. Okay. Really? Is this going to be backwards throughout the whole thing? Because... all right, let's do that one more time. So start here. All right. Yeah, it's still not liking start for some reason. No, not what I wanted. Back. Yeah, why is it working in reverse? Do not understand. Right, I'm gonna start like that and see if I can do anything with that. How about start still doesn't work as pause? Nor does select, for that matter, so... well, at the very least, it's still pretty responsive, which is kind of nice, but... I'm a little concerned that it's not recognizing start and select and that A and B are backwards. Since I'm concerned about that, yeah, no matter how hard I press either of these, it's not doing a thing. So, let me see about another game. Immediately, let's see what push start button does. Doesn't do anything. Still. Well, that's interesting. That is interesting and funky. I am not really liking that. Maybe there's a setting or something that I can change around here. I forgot, start's not going to work. Is there a setting that I can change in here? Game settings, maybe?
Ah, okay. Let me turn that over real quick. So there is a mapping here. Let me see if this will do anything if I press button for up. I wonder, does that actually do anything? Hang on. Yep, it does. Okay, so we go up. So that's good. Right, left, all that's perfectly fine. What about press button for start? What does start do? Really? That is kind of fascinating, actually. Have a closer look at that. For some reason, this controller logs start as R2. So if I were using a more robust gamepad, like the one that I just pulled up on screen, then I'd be using the R2 button for that. What's select go to? Let's see. Select is L2. Well, that's kind of funky. Okay, so it says A is A, and okay, yeah, so this layout is actually set up for a more advanced controller than this one. So I'm glad I found this in the menu, because this is going to make this a little easier then. A and B. Let's see here. A. Let's see what happens here. A. A is now B. And B is now A. And that makes total sense, actually, because if you look at the controller that I just put up, the positions are kind of reversed on that controller, and I guess this emulator is assuming that it has that kind of controller attached to it. But I'm glad that I found this in the settings menu, because this is very, very handy. So, okay, fast forward, quicker one. Okay, so let me see what else is in this. So I've got up, down, left, right, start, select, A, B, turbo, A and B, and left, up, right, up. So all the usual suspects of gaming, I guess, except for some of the things that are specific to the emulator, which are, you know, save states, load states. Let's see, menu, fast forward. So yeah, things like that. Things that are specific to the emulator itself are also able to attach to controller buttons, which is pretty nice, actually. All right, so let's see what that did and if everything's back to normal now. Ah, that worked. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so now that we've got everything set up the way that's necessary, let's just keep going, because honestly, I'm certain the other games work properly. What's next on the list? Zelda. So, it still thinks in the main menu that forward is forward and back is back. Let's see if, okay, so good. That did in fact still register as the controller layout. I'm glad it saved. So, let's see here. Oddly enough, okay, no, I'm still having the same problem that I did with the NES. Alright, well, that's going to take some getting used to, but let's see what happens. Okay. Yeah, because typically what happens is I kind of hug the side here to go down, and it usually just registers as down, but it's not... Since it's not an NES controller, I have to do everything a little bit differently, because it's more adept at registering up and down as a very specific kind of press. But this is a heck of a lot more playable than the on-screen keyboard. And I'm very, very happy about that. Yeah, so it's not really, like when you want to go up and down, it's not registering side as a press. So that's going to suck for me, because I usually rely on pressing kind of in between in order to go sideways. And it registers in between as up or down. So there's, yeah, I'm going to have to do some real relearning on that.
Yeah. Alright, so it's still pretty responsive as a controller, and I know now that I've been using it more and more, I'm kind of getting used to the feel of it as opposed to the regular old controller that I've been using my entire life. But yeah, this is definitely something that I could get used to, and I think others could too if they, if they were using it daily, because it's really not that bad. And now that everything's set up correctly and playable. This is absolutely much easier to use now that I've had some practice.
Alright, so final thoughts on this thing. I like it a lot, actually, and the more I use it, the more I'm getting used to its little kind of quirks and demeanors. But that's really true of any controller that you'd buy. I mean, anything from the NES to Super NES, Nintendo 64, Xbox, PlayStation, everything has its own way that it likes to do things, and finding out about those subtleties are really what make using these things interesting. And while it's not specifically the same thing as the Nintendo's controller, I really like what it can do, and I like it just in general too, because sooner or later all of my old gear is gonna die. It's just kind of the inevitable fact of life. But having things that I know will be worthwhile replacements for that gear and that I'm gonna enjoy using, that really excites me, because I want to be able to use these things. I want to be able to keep playing these for at least as long as I'm interested in them. And having new peripherals that will feel just about as good as the old ones is going to do wonders for me, at least. And while I'm a little disappointed that the dongle itself doesn't actually fit properly into the controller port, at least it works. I would like to see a little bit of a better redesign on that. Other than that, this works great with the emulator once it's set up properly and once it actually attaches to the device. But I'm still really glad about this thing's usability. The only thing being that with the directional pad, it definitely wants to go up and down more than it does side to side, and that I think is just going to have to be something that I'll deal with, because while going side to side isn't an option when you're doing wide presses, if you're like me and you just like to do like little subtle things, you're going to get caught on the stairs in Castlevania, because anytime you're near the stairs, you will go up them. There's just no way around it. For games like Zelda, you're definitely going to travel up and down more than you are side to side. So a little bit more of a functionality tweak, and that would be good. But this works great overall, and it gets my seal of approval, I guess. Anyhow, I'd like to see what the other controllers that they make are like, because this has got me really curious about the rest of their product line. And given the amount of devices that I have over there, I'd like to see some new replacements. I mean, especially for the Nintendo 64 controller, because while I really like that thing, unfortunately the directional key on that is not actually... it's shot. Who am I kidding? Anyway, so, thanks for watching, and if you like this video, you know what to do.